Joining us now, U.S. Senator from Oklahoma, Republican Congressman James Lankford, Senator-elect. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's great to have you here. Now, we expect you to be just as difficult and just as angry and just as rough around the edges as our favorite, Tom Coburn.
Exactly.
Those are tall boots to try to walk into.
You can do it.
Those really are. So let's ask a couple of questions. As you go to Washington, D.C., do you think your victory, the Republicans' victory, was a victory for the conservative ideology, or was it a victory for people who said, we're going to go to Washington and actually make it work?
Well, I think it's a mixture of both, because there was a lot of that went on, Joe. You saw a race around the country where people said, let's re-engage. Let's actually do legislation again. Let's actually do appropriations bills again. And I know a lot of people said they were running against the president, but you heard an awful lot about Harry Reid as well, to say Harry Reid hasn't done an appropriations bill in 7 years. We should probably legislate again. This is what this is. It's a legislature. So it's really both in the middle of this.
Sam Stein.
Yeah, congratulations, Senator.
By the way, can we get a split on these two guys?
Oh.
They are both so young. I think I'm just going to go ahead and shout for a burial plot for me.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Sam.
feeling your age a little bit now, Joe.
I am, man. I am. Go ahead, kids. Go ahead.
At some point, these ageist comments will stop. Senator-elect.
When you turn 18, enjoy them. Enjoy them.
When you turn 18.
Let's try
go.
this again. Soon-to-be Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was talking about this proposed executive action on immigration, equating it to waving a red flag in front of a charging bull. What happens in the Senate, in your estimation, if the president does go forward, as he's promised to, with this executive action by the end of the year?
Well, what's interesting to me on that, Sam, is what happens if the president decides he's going to do something without going through Congress to do it. It should be the same thing that any Congress would do, Republican or Democrat. Congress should step up and say, we have a constitutional responsibility. We're going to follow the rule of law. The president, whether you're George Washington or whether you're Barack Obama, can't just decide, I'm going to do something and not go through Congress. This is our legal system.
What does that mean in practical terms? Do you, pass a bill to fund implementation of the executive action? Do you hold hearings? What do you do actually to stop him?
Sam, I think you do all the above on that. We have to wait and see what this executive action is. As you know as well as I do, many of these executive orders that come out, there'll be a lot of bluster about it, but it's really playing to the base, and it really doesn't do anything. So we have to see what the executive order actually is. I can tell you, if you go back to 2.5 years ago, the deferred action, it actually led to the rapid move of a lot of these juveniles coming across the border last summer. We saw the acceleration. I went down to Central America, visited with leaders in Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala, and asked them about what caused this rapid increase. I heard over and over again, when the United States did the deferred action for minors, the coyotes and everyone took advantage of that and said, now is the time to be able to come to the United States, and it spurred that. There's no question an executive action would do that again. That's not what the American people support. We actually support the rule of law.
Senator-elect, this is Julie Pace. Congratulations. Just to follow up on Sam's question, the president did pledge to move forward with this executive action before the end of the year. If he follows through on that promise, does that poison the well for working next year on the list of things that Senator McConnell and the president talked about, trade, tax reform, things like that?
You bet, sure does. And I'm not sure that the president doesn't want to do that. You go back to the recess appointments from 2 years ago. The president knew the Senate was not out of session. He had put people in place and said, I'm going to declare to the Senate when they're actually in session, completely inconsistent with the Constitution. Went all the way to the Supreme Court said, you can't redefine for the Senate when you're in session. That's not the power of the president. The president doesn't have the power to make law. He knows that. He said that to immigration groups before when they've asked him, why don't you act? And he said, I can't just do things unilaterally. We have to actually work through Congress. That's still true, what he said before. You have to work through Congress. Now, in the Republican House, we passed bills, for instance, about high-skilled work visas. That's an area where we have wide bipartisan support. We have a lot of support on security issues. Let's work on those things where we have support on, and let's start the process. But don't just make some unilateral statement that really doesn't have the support of law. That doesn't help long-term. It doesn't help now.
But if the president moves forward on immigration executive action, will you find it impossible to work with him on other issues next year?
I have no idea what it is, what he's bringing up and what he's going to try to do. I can tell you, I firmly believe in a representative republic. You have to actually do the legislative work for this. The president just can't declare what he wants to do. So let's sit down, let's do the work together. If he says we're not going to work with Congress from the White House, then we have a real hard time actually trying to get something done.
All right, Senator-elect James Lankford, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.